Travis Etienne, I think, is interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think that Travis Etienne is going to ascend to superstardom, maintain his production, or like end up in like a split backfield a la Najee Harris this time next year?
Well, I'd argue like probably not. Probably doesn't have to ascend now, right? He kind of just has to maintain what he's been doing this year. Like I think he's over 20 points per game this year.
Is he that high now? I thought he was only like 18 or 19. Let me just look. He's at 19.7 right now. He's right on that fringe. But yeah.
All right.
So is he going to maintain his like 20 points per game, or is he going to drop back down to like that 16 to 18, or is he going to like end up in a timeshare?
Or is he going to get stuffed in the locker? He's definitely not going to get stuffed in the locker. Tank Bigsby, some people thought Tank Bigsby might stuff him in a locker. It doesn't appear that Tank Bigsby is going to stuff him in a locker.
No, he's not.
I think he's going to be a starter, like a very good starter, but I think a starter. It has not been it's a little hard because his fantasy stats aren't that great this year. He's middle of the pack in RYOE, he's middle of the pack in most like yards after contact metrics, success rate, etc. I think some of that stuff is a little harsh on him. I do find Jacksonville's interior offensive line to be particularly egregious. And like to me, at watching Etienne this year, it reminds me a lot of watching like early career Barkley, where it's clear that he just has insane levels of juice, that there's really not a lot of room to operate. And so you're getting these games where it's like nothing, boom. And you combine that with the role being awesome, and he kind of has two outs every week, right? Either he can just get there on volume and touchdowns, or he can get there on one explosive play. And on occasion, you can get there on both of those things in the same week, right? And if all else fails, he's at least probably getting like 12 points because the role is solid enough that he's just going to get there in spite of everything. I still think he's like a little reliant on that like speed trump card, in the sense he's just not really that all-around powerful runner that and also as a pass catcher, he's vastly improved this year, right? He's running a million routes. He's getting the receptions, but he's not like the dynamic Alvin Kamara reception getter. He's more the I'm going to get 3 or 4 each week guy. So I think all things considered, like I think he's probably playing a little bit above what is the natural fit of him in the NFL as like this true 95% opportunity share guy. When I think probably best case scenario, someone else is taking a little bit of the pounding off him on some of these inside carries, and he'd probably be a little bit better off having like 14, 15 carries per game plus 4 or 5 receptions per game. So I'm going to say he's a starter. I think it's very clear he's the best running back on this team, but I really think they could afford to give some of the lower value touches, especially behind this offensive line, to someone else and not really experience that much of a drop off.
Yeah, he's got an 81.7% opportunity share, number 4 in the world. And he's number 3 in routes run, like raw routes run. Like he's running all the routes. So good for him.
Yeah.
But he's got like the last 3 weeks, he scored 2 touchdowns per game. So if he can keep that up, that's going to bode well for his fantasy points. We call that a trend.
Tank Bigsby took 1/3 and 1 snap in the preseason, so I didn't think that Travis Etienne could score touchdowns.
Only a matter of time then until Tank Bigsby is the guy taking 2 touchdowns a game into the end zone. Yeah, no, he's like 1 week is just 1 week, but 2 weeks is a line, 3 weeks is a trend, right? So now we have a trend, and this will carry on into perpetuity. And he's a superstar. I'm kidding. He was a bulletproof running back coming out. I always thought like he was good. I just never really felt like he was like the superstar running back though, and I can't really pinpoint it. It was a multitude of things, mostly. Yeah, I don't know. Just vibes, I guess, more than anything else. And I've always viewed him as like a 60 to 65% opportunity share guy and like a back end running back 1 type of thing. Not a superstar, but always like a good player that you want on your team.
I do think that's where we're probably headed. I mean, I think this is awesome. I think this was the ceiling. We're seeing the Travis Etienne ceiling case right now. He's like getting the best role he's ever going to get. He's playing he's playing in a very functional offense. And maybe he keeps this up for the whole of the season. If it comes off as negative, like I'm not necessarily sure that I'm like amped to try and trade him away either. Like I would need a very good offer. Quite frankly, like he would certainly be in my top 5 dynasty running backs. Just when you combine like this ceiling level and the youth and the offense that he's in, and what I do think is like very legitimate talent. But I tend to agree. I think the most likely scenario is that we see the next couple of years of him, if he remains healthy, being like RB 6 to 10 type of range, maybe more than 1 to 5, which is kind of where he's challenging this year. But in the meantime, I'm really enjoying this season. It's been very fun to watch.
Yeah, because he's RB4 right now, 22 overall in Superflex.
Which the 22 overall probably feels steep to me. The RB4 overall seems totally reasonable to me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like RB4
like to me, it's Bijan, it's Hall, and then depending on your mileage, like I'm fine with taking Etienne next. I'm fine with McCaffrey next. I'm fine with Taylor next.
Yeah, and then, but like you said, 22 overall feels really quite high. I think there's a lot of wide receivers, quarterbacks, and a couple tight ends I'd prefer over him.
So I think there's a dozen quarterbacks I'm taking. Probably only one tight end I'm taking.
You'd rather have Travis Etienne than Kyle Pitts at this point?
I think I might.
Even though
maybe not on like every single team. Certainly not on every single team.
Yeah.
But I mean, on enough teams,
pretty even. You think?
Like barring substantial injury. I mean, which is the question with every running back. Which is like maybe that's just could be an argument just never to invest a lot in running backs if you're just constantly concerned about injury. But barring that, like he's good. He's not old. Like I don't think he's going anywhere. Like at worst, it's going to be like a small backslide, and he's scoring a ton of points right now, and that's pretty compelling compared to Pitts, who's not doing that. So I would view him like pretty similarly to Pitts and Laporta. I'm sure I could name 10 receivers I like more.
Yeah. I think I don't think he's like way overpriced at 22. I'd maybe have him at like 30, somewhere in there. Yeah, I haven't counted, but
I'm gonna look where I have him actually right now in my rankings. My rankings are 1 week out of date because I only rank every second week. I have him at 26 overall.
Okay, so he's not too bad at 22 then, in your opinion. No. I'd probably have him maybe a little bit lower than that, just kind of based around the guys in my brain, but I could be way off because I don't do rankings in that fashion. But yeah, all right, so that's Travis Etienne.